Okay, hello everyone. So we will continue from last week. Our issue, obviously, is the biblical figure Shimshon, and what we tried to show last week was the complexity of this biblical figure. We spoke about the fact that he became a Nazir from birth. His mom really had to take upon herself the restrictions of a Nazir. And we spoke about the complexity of his upbringing. We spoke about the complexity of his nature and God's expectations versus reality. And we saw some kind of the disappointment that we have from Shimshon, and also the problem that our sages had really with Shimshon as a biblical figure. How can you relate to someone as a hero and a savior and someone who is a redeemer when he is married with, he gets married with people who are not exactly Jewish? And according to some, they maybe went through some kind of a conversion that probably today we will say, conversion, this is not a real conversion, whatever it was. And some people say, no, he had no conversions, and basically he followed the lead of his eyes and his heart, and he really didn't care so much about it. So obviously, we have an issue with Shimshon as a biblical figure. And now we are on page 3. Okay. On page 3, the pasuk says the following: Ki NACH hara veyoladet ben. So you are pregnant, and you will give. Oh, sorry. Just one thing. The shiur is sponsored by Mel David's Zichrono Livracha, by his daughters and son-in-laws, in their father's memory, obviously, and should be Bezrat Hashem le'ilui neshama. So the pasuk says like that: Ki NACH hara veyoladet ben. You are pregnant and you will have a child. Umora lo ya'aleh al rosho. And he should not have a haircut. Ki nazir elokim yeh, he's going to be a nazir for God. Hanar min habeten, he's going to be from birth, he will be a nazir. V'hu yachel leoshia et Israel miyat plishtim, and he will begin to redeem the Jewish people from plishtim. And we spoke a little bit about the idea of yachel, which means what? He will just start. So the Radak says the following: V'hu yachel ki hashoftim asher hayu lefanav lo hayu nilchamim beplishtim. All the judges before him, like for example Yiftach, Gidon, they did not fight the plishtim. They fought only at different nations, but they didn't start with the plishtim. The plishtim were always very, very strong. And not only that they were very strong, we know that if you fast forward to Shaul and Yonatan, okay, the 40 years that the Jewish people were under Plishtim, the Plishtim did not allow the Jewish people to build or to produce any military equipment. The Plishtim were very strong. They had merkavot barzel also. They had iron chariots. And the Jews, you could barely find a sword. They were not allowed to produce metal or iron. So basically, the Plishtim really had full control over the Jewish people. So they were very strong, and none of the other judges really started with them. V'rabotenu zal darshu, so that's what it means, v'hu yachel. He will be what? The first one to fight against Plishtim, and that war will end only when? At the time of David. Shaul lost. They killed him. David HaMelech was the one to finish off with the Plishtim. Now, וחז"ל דרשו, הוחלה שבועתו של אבימלך. תכתיב אם תשקור לי ולניני ולנכדי, ואז נלחמו בישראל תחילה, ואז נלחמו בישראל תחילה. So, another interpretation, which is very interesting, is, if you remember, if you go back in your memory to Sefer Bereshit, when Avimelech and Avraham had a little bit of an encounter, so when Avimelech went to, not to apologize, to Avraham and Avimelech had a brit. They made a covenant. And Avraham told Avimelech, I am going to sign a covenant with you. I'm not going to attack you, your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. According to the Radak, this is exactly the time that covenant came to an end. They start fighting with us, and we started to what? To fight with them. By the way, just as a side note, according to the Rashbam, and this is obviously it's politically it's very loaded, but the Rashbam in the 11th century, 12th century in France, said something incredible. The Akedah, the binding of Isaac, started with what sentence? Vayi achar hadvarim haele. And everyone asked the same question, what are those things? So everyone gives his own interpretation. The Rashbam says the following. He says it was because of the covenant between Avraham and Avimelech. Because Avraham gave Avimelech something that does not belong to him. He gave him a promise that he will not attack him, which means basically he gave him land. And Hashem, in order to show Avraham that he is vulnerable and the fact that he has no right to give any land, he told him, okay, give me your son. So then you will have no future. That's the Rashbam. Now, obviously, I'm not sure if he will vote to whatever party, but this is what the Rashbam says in France, okay? 11th century and 12th century.
But at the end, he does not take it. Abraham offers him, but Hashem doesn't take it.
That's true, but just going through the experience, and that morning, when Hashem says to Abraham, you think that you are invisible? I'll show you how vulnerable you are. Give me your son, your only son, your future, your descendant, and I will take him. So Avraham just thinking, I just promised something to Avimelech, thinking that it will last forever, and now I don't have it forever. So that's what the Rashbam is basically saying, which is a very creative idea. You couldn't find it in any midrashim. He came up with that by his own. Okay. Or alternatively, we have a different interpretation. Yachel le'oshia lefi shelo oshiam tshua shleima. Shimshon only began the redemption, but he didn't complete it. How do we know? When he died, the Plishtim are still there, and it only ends, as I said before, at the time of David HaMelech. Okay. The Metzudat David says, Vehu yachel le'oshia, רצה לומר, he meant to say, תשועתו תהיה התחלה ובלא גמר. וכן היה, כי אם שפעמים עיקר בפלישתים, מכל מקום מיד השיב ימינו אחור ולא נלחם עוד בכדי לנצחם. So Shimshon will start, and you would think that he's going the right way, and then he will what? He will stop. And there is going to be what? A regression. Again, it says, ולא מה שאין כן שאר השופטים, כאשר התחילו להכות בעובדי גילולים, לא השיבו ידם עד אשר עשו כאשר תמצא ידם. And this is really, by the way, very true. Which means every other judge, when he fought against someone, against a nation, after that, it says, ותשקוט הארץ 40 שנה. I don't know if that's exactly 40 years or not, but it quieted down. That's it. That was done. With Shimshon, it's only him. He's the one to fight against him. He starts something, and then, klum. And not only that, we will see much later on, he does not inspire the Jewish people to do anything. Klum. They don't care. He does what he does. You can't blame us because we're not going to support this guy. He's a lone wolf. If you have something against him, deal with him. But that's it. By the way, as a side note to the side note, when he dies, you don't hear from the Tanakh that all the Jewish people were, mourning for him and sad and eulogizing him. Just his family took him back, buried him, v'zehu. That's it. So, a very lonely person. Okay. So, turn to page 4. And the Tanakh says the following. ותבוא האישה, ותאמר לאישה. So, the woman, Manoach's wife, came to her husband, and she says to him like that. איש האלוקים בא אליי, a man of God came to me, ומראהו כמראה מלאך האלוקים נורא מאוד, and he looks like an angel of God, ולא שאלתיהו אי מזה הוא, ואת שמו לא יגיד לי. So I didn't ask him, who are you, or where are you coming from? And he also did not give me his name. By the way, angels has a problem with giving their names, right? Give me another example. With Yaakov and Esav's minister, whatever it is, says to him, what's your name? He says to me, why are you asking my name, right? Okay. So that's what she says to her husband. Now, interestingly enough, when you read the pasuk, we mentioned the fact that Manoach's wife's name is not mentioned, even though she was the real one and he was like a Manoach, okay? So the idea is, it's very interesting. She says to him, I think he looks like an angel. How did she know? Like, there's no Google, by the way, here. No, really, how did she know?
Maybe he had wheels.
So, what?
She has
She has a certain feel. He looks, sometimes we even look at people and we say, what? Oh my God, he looks like an angel, right?
Like a nice fellow.
A nice fellow.
That's what you say. Looks like an angel,
Oh, nice fellow. Okay. Vayomer li. So she says to her husband, "Hinach hara v'yoladet ben." So you're going to be pregnant and you'll have a child, a son. Ve'ata now al tishti yain v'shecha ve'al tochli kol tuma. Do not drink any type of wine and don't eat anything that is impure. Ki nezir Elokim yeh anar min habeten ad yom moto. Because this child is going to be a Nazir from the day he is born until the day he dies. Now, interestingly enough, when the angel talked to her, he just said to her, "Hishamrina v'al tishti yain v'shecha v'al tochli kol tameh." Meaning, you should not eat or drink anything wine-related or impure, and he will be a Nazir Elokim, but it doesn't say ad yom moto. Okay? Because really, B'yom moto, was he still Nazir? They shaved his head. So, I don't know exactly what happened, and I'm not sure exactly. And the what? Okay, and the drinking wine, it's also a possibility because Dlila made him fall asleep. So I don't know exactly what kind of method she used, but he fell asleep. So the idea is that she added ad yom moto. Okay, so that's what she conveyed to her husband. The Malbim. No, she doesn't say any of those things. She just say to him, "Look, I know what you are interested in. You are interested in a son, so I'm going to give you a son. Who cares, right? Okay." So the Malbim says the following. השאלות. He has some questions. למה לא סיפרה שאמר לה הנה את עקרה? So, first question, why didn't she say to her husband, "Look, the angel told me, I know you are what? You are barren, you are childless, and therefore I'm going to give you a child." Okay, question number one. וכן מה שכתב מורה לא יעלה על ראשו. וכן מה שכתב הוא יחל להושיע את ישראל. ולמה בא המלאך אל האישה ולא אל מנוח עצמו? So all the other questions I can solve. But this question is a very difficult one. It says, why is it that the angel came to her instead of Manoach? Okay, if Manoach should be the guy that the angel talks to, right?
He wasn't rowy.
Why?
It's what?
He was not rowy to receive the angel.
Oh, that's we need to substantiate it, right? Because most of the times the angel appears to whom?
No, it was a man.
To the men.
Except to the Isha Shunamit. Came to her and said, "You're going to have a child." And
No,
she said,
that's
"Don't fool."
No, but that's Elisha. That's Elisha. It was a prophet, not an angel. Yeah. So I'm talking about an angel. The angel talks to Hagar. We know from Hagar. God does not talk to Sarah, telling her that she's going to get pregnant. He's telling it to whom? To Abraham. Later on, the second story that he's talking to Sarah. So we don't really have too many times that God talks to a woman. Okay? We have many times that God talks. Now, does not mean that he shouldn't. But the Malbim is asking a question, just very simple. Just tell the man. Tell Manoach, especially if his name is mentioned. Tell him, look, your wife, like he told Abraham, Ka'et chaya veleishtecha ben. So.
Yeah, but Sarah didn't have to do anything. I mean,
Oh, okay.
but she did.
Okay, so you are saying there are special guidance or some kind of restrictions that she needs to take upon herself. Okay, very good. That might be a possibility. Yes.
Another thing,
He goes again to both of them. Yeah.
it's also
We'll see that in a minute. And then he says, ולמה ביקש מנוח שיבוא שנית ויורה משפט הנער? הלא כבר הורהו משפטו. והמלאך לא הוסיף דבר בפעם השני על מה שאמר בפעם הראשון. So the Malbim says, what's the point? Manoach says, oh, come again, I would like to hear what do we need to do with this child. The angel says to him, exactly the same thing. So why do you need to what? To hear it twice. What, you don't trust your wife?
Confirmation.
Confirmation, okay. So the Malbim says, ויאמר לי נח הרע, ומה שאמר לה את הקרא לא הגידה לו מפני השלום. So first and foremost, so the Eshet Manoach didn't tell Manoach, the angel told me, I'm childless, I'm barren, and therefore you're going to have a child. Why didn't she say that to Manoach? Answer, she didn't want to what? To hurt him. Now, this is with one sentence, you can just understand the dynamic in the family. Manoach, and especially in even today, but even in agricultural society, if you don't have a son, especially a son, you basically walk in the field, you plow the field knowing that what? It's going to be fruitless. You have no one to continue on. So basically, there is tension definitely between Manoach and his wife in a very sensitive way does not want to repeat things that can hurt him. That's a really interesting.
Why would this hurt him? It's giving him hope. I don't understand that.
No. But I can tell him we will have a child without telling him, I'm barren. That's just hurtful.
So leave it out.
No, so that's what she did. That's exactly what she did. Yeah, that's exactly what she did. כן לא סיפרה מה שכתב מורה לא יעלה על ראשו, שזה נכלל במה שכתב כי נזיר אלוקים יהיה. So she didn't give all the details that he shouldn't get a haircut because she already says she is going to be a nazir. וכן לא אמרה מה שכתב הוא יחל להושיע. I think some of you mentioned it. She didn't tell him that he is going to want to begin the redemption. Why? כי אחר שמשלו פלישתים, אז יראה פן התוודע הדבר ויהרגו את הנולד. But just 1 second. She didn't tell it to her husband because her husband has a big mouth.
Where does it say that?
Here. She was afraid that he will tell someone, the Plishtim would hear, and they will kill the child, which almost sounds like the Egyptians. Okay? This is a very interesting thing. So on one hand, she is trying to be super sensitive to her husband, but she knows her husband. That's, by the way, another reason why probably the angel didn't talk to this guy. Okay? Why should I tell him? Right? He's going to spill the beans. So basically what's happened is that look how smart she is. Emotionally sensitive and also intellectually. She understands she can't really trust him too much. She's just going to tell him, look, we're going to have a son, he's going to be very special, but she's not going to tell him anything about what? The fact that he's going to redeem the Jewish people. And then he says, והוסיפה עד יום מותו. She added until the day he dies, והמלאך לא אמר זה בפירוש. The angel didn't say that directly, כי ידע שלפני מותו יחלל נזירותו. Okay, but he put himself in a situation that was problematic. The what? Oh, the translation, sorry. So basically, she added, he will be a Nazir, a Nazirite, until the day he died. The angel didn't say it. Why? Because the angel knew that he will basically disqualified himself being a Nazir even before he died. Okay, so she said something and the angel said something else. Now, so first and foremost, what do we see from here? We see that Manoach's wife, whatever her name is, let's just call her Menucha for our purposes. She is a very sophisticated lady. Obviously by the fact that the angel talks to her, and also what does she convey to her husband. Okay. ויתר מנוח אל השם ויאמר בי אדוני איש האלוקים אשר שלחת יבוא נא עוד אלינו ויורינו מה נעשה לנער היולד. Please God, somehow Manoach talks to God, which is also a nice level, and he says to him, please send this angel again, איש האלוקים. He calls him איש האלוקים, not מלאך. Who else was called איש האלוקים? משה רבינו. נכון? וזאת הברכה אשר ברך משה איש האלוקים את בני ישראל לפני מותו. What is איש אלוקים? נביא. Which means Manoach still does not believe what?
An angel.
That he's an angel. He basically says to his wife, come on, someone tricked you. Okay? Or maybe there is a prophet somewhere who came to talk to you. You think he's an angel. Come on, you're not talking to angels.
I want to see it for myself.
Yeah, okay, so that's what he's asking. But he doesn't say malach. He says only ish ha'elokim. And he says, and he should come and teach us what should we do with this child. Okay. Says the Al-Sheikh, יבוא עוד אלינו ויורנו מה נעשה לנער היולד. So he should come to us and he should teach us what should we do with this child. כלומר, מה שעד כה לא בא אלינו כי אם אליה בלבד, היה על בואו לומר מה שתעשה היא בעצמה. אך אם היה על מה שיעשה לנער, כך היה הדיבור נאות אליי כמו אליה. ועל כן, אתה יבוא אלינו שהוא אל שנינו. כי אינו על דבר הנוגע לאישה, כי אם אל הנער היולד, והוא דבר שווה לשנינו. So, מנוח is, you understand a little bit of Yiddish, is balaidik. Balaidik. Insulted. That's the word I know from Yiddish. Yeah? Balaidik. Okay, everyone is a balaidik. Everyone is getting sensitive. Okay, he's insulted. He says to Hashem, look, I understand. If you just want to tell her things that are related to her, that she does not need to drink wine, and she needs to eat 3 apples a day and 2 bananas, that's fine. Nothing to do with me. But talking about raising their child, it's also me. I also need to be involved. So I'm also deserve what? That he will come and talk to me. Therefore, send him again. Okay? והוא, כי הוא לא ידע כי גם לאישה אמר על מה שנוגע אל הנער, כי הייתה ראויה להיראות המלאך אליה ממנו. She knew exactly what she should do with the child. Right? God told her, the angel told her. But she didn't tell Manoach that he told her. And he says, she was more worthy than him to have that revelation with the angel rather than him.
Who said that? Manoach?
The Al-Sheikh.
Oh, the Al-Sheikh.
Yeah, the Al-Sheikh says the angel came to her because she was worthy to receive, to accept this revelation, where Manoach was not in that madriga. However, because Manoach asked for it, and don't forget, he would not go along with what she said because he never heard it, and therefore the angel needs to what? To come back. Okay. וישמע אלוקים בקול מנוח, ויבוא מלאך האלוקים. Now it's called what? מלאך האלוקים, not איש האלוקים, מלאך האלוקים, עוד אל האישה, והיא יושבת בשדה, ומנוח אישה אין עמה. No, 1 second. This is an interesting sentence and we need to pay attention to it. You know what, why should I'm not going to spoon feed you, okay? Is there anything wrong with that pasuk? Do you feel like there is something wrong here? Okay, so first thing is, you ask from God to send this malach, right? So be on the lookout, right? Last time he came to the field, so be there, right? What do you think? Like he's going to knock on your door, sit and have coffee with you? Go out there. Okay, very good. 1 question. Second question.
What is she doing in this?
Again, what did you say?
He needed to have someone, not her.
Okay, so the angel should come to him, not to her. Okay, third. Yeah, fair. This is my main question. I agree with Zelda. And don't get it like I'm a chauvinist or God forbid or something like that. This is not. But a woman at that time being by herself at the field, ze muzar. You know what is ze muzar? It's strange. Okay? We know, for example, at the time of the judges, what other story we have at the time of the judges? Ruth. And Boaz is basically warning her, go with my guys, they will not touch you. Which means what? If you don't go with protection, they will touch you. Okay? So it was not pleasant. And even let's say that there is some kind of a progress and people are a little nicer, still, you don't send this woman like that in the field. Also, give me another story from Tanakh that there is a woman who has also a child, but she is not in the field. If I would be sitting here, I would not. Okay, with Elisha. Yeah, it will be too much. With Avishag, with the Shunamit, she has a child, The child goes to the field. He says, Roshi, Roshi, my head. And then he faints. And then the husband, brings him to whom? To her, because she is at home and he is in the field. You don't find women in the field, especially not by herself. So this is strange. So then it says, ותמהר האישה, ותרוץ ותגד לאישה. So she runs and to tell מנוח, ותאמר אליו, הנה נראה אליי האיש אשר בא ביום אליי. Again, she refers to him as what? As? The man, not the angel. Because probably if she will say the angel, he will tell her what? You're crazy. Right, okay. ויקום וילך מנוח אחרי אשתו. Now this is also one of the most famous ones, but also you see from the pasuk itself, she is ותמהר האישה ותרוץ. She is all quick, she runs. What does he do? He walks. He takes a Shabbos walk right after her, and he goes after her. You are so anxious to see him, you need to what? Run. No, he takes his time.
That's why he's Manoach, but I don't think she's Menucha.
No, she's not a menucha. No, she's a mehira. She's not a menucha. So he goes slowly, he takes his time, he goes after her, instead of what? Of running. ויבוא אל האיש, ויאמר לו, אתה האיש אשר דיברת אל האישה? And he talks to him like his friend. Like, are you the man that talked to my wife? He didn't even say ishti to the woman. ויאמר אני, yeah, it's me. ויאמר מנוח, אתה יבוא דבריך, מה יהיה משפט הנער ומעשהו? So please tell me, what should we do with the child? ויאמר מלאך השם אל מנוח, מכל אשר אמרתי אל האישה, תשמר. Everything I told the woman to be careful for. No, we will talk about that in a minute. She needs to do whatever I told her to do. Which just, I guess, probably add to his anxieties, right? Manoach's anxieties, like, can't you please tell me? But he will. But for the first thing, he says to him, what? Whatever I told your wife, I rely on her. I trust her. Says the Malbim, מכל אשר אמרתי לאישה תשמר, רצה לומר, זה דבר שאין צריך להודיע לך מה משפט הנער. There is nothing to tell you. כי תשאל מאת יודעי דת ודין, ויורוך הלכות נזירות. ולכן אמרו מנוח, עם הארץ היה. He says, when I said that your child will be Nazir, I don't need to tell you what he needs to do. Just go and ask the rabbi. Or just, you should know that. I assume that you know what a Nazir needs to do, which is what? Not to drink wine, not to eat anything impure, not to be in touch with the dead body, not to get a haircut, v'zehu. And from here, the rabbis learned that what? That Manoach was an Am Haaretz.
And not to be with women. No?
No, he can be married. It's not a problem. He can be married, just not to a plishtit. Okay, a plishtit is a different problem. But the idea is basically the Malbim says, and that's what Chazal says, Manoach was an Am Haaretz.
And she wasn't.
No. Now, what is Am Haaretz? Okay, one second.
Simple person.
Before. Where is the first time that Am Haaretz is being mentioned? Okay. I will tell you what is Am Haaretz because there is an evolution in the concept. So we need to start first from when is the first time that the Torah mentioned Am Haaretz? No. But you said it. No, not a little later. In Sefer Bereshit. A little bit after Noah.
After Noah?
With Avraham, that's true. Where? No? When he bought Me'arat HaMachpelah, they told him, I will give it for you for free, and blah, 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 blah. וישתחו אברהם לפני עם הארץ. Now, what is it Am Haaretz? People of the land. Very good. That's the first definition. That's not a curse. That's not derogative. It's nothing. It's the people of the land. Farmers. Not Afka simple. No. They can be very wealthy. Don't forget, in an agriculture society, if you have land and you farm your land, you can be very wealthy. You can be one of the machers of the community. It has nothing to do with what? With your intellectual abilities.
Then what does it have to do?
One second. So, the beginning or the first definition of Am Haaretz is the people of the land. People who understand the land, people who are farmers, people who love the land, and they can be also wealthy and they can be also sophisticated. Am Haaretz went through a transformation in the time of the Mishnah. In the time of the Mishnah, between let's say 0 to the 2nd century, Am Haaretz became ignoramus. The people who are only with the land, they couldn't elevate themselves from what? From the land to, let's say, spiritual heights. So then they became, and that's how we have this definition, he's an Am Haaretz. Which means what? He's not the most, he's not the sharpest tool in the toolbox, right? That's what we say.
So you made a separation between, you said it didn't have to do with academics or intelligence.
In the time of the Torah.
So you're making a separation between intellectual, academic, and spiritual. You just said that now.
The definition changed during the years, like many other definitions. At the beginning, Am Haaretz is the people of the land. They could be most sophisticated people, the wealthiest people, the machers of the community can be great. Years later, thousands of years later, Am Haaretz became a derogative concept about people who are not sophisticated, sophisticated cognitively, and also later on, when they created those clubs of Chaverim, Chaverim was versus Am Haaretz. Chaverim were more diligent and more careful with Trumot and Kochim and Chulin, where the Amei Haaretzot were the people who didn't care about themselves, not only cognitively, but also spiritually. But things changed through the years. Okay, now.
Evolution. But it could be someone as Yirat Hashem.
Here, he might be a very pious guy, but in terms of his cognitive abilities and understanding, he was not the best guy. Okay. And then he says, ולא באתי רק להזהיר את האישה שזה דבר חדש. He says, why did I come to tell her that she's going to have a child and not you? Because I asked her to do something that I never asked from anyone else, which is, she already needs to be what? A Nezirah, to some extent, in order to create this pure incubator, that child will come out already as a Nazir. והטעם, still on Yud Gimel. So the Malbim, now the last line on the page. והטעם, and the reason, שלא בא המלאך, now we are page 5, אל מנוח, פירש מהרי, that's the אברבנאל, מפני שהייתה מוכנת יותר ממנו אל ראיית המלאך. So if you ask why the angel revealed himself to her and not to him, answer is she was much more ready to see an angel. ויש לומר, מפני שנזירת שמשון אינו דבר הנידר ואינו בשאלה, כי היה על ידי מלאך, ואם היה על פי האב, היה דבר הנידר, כי האב מדיר את בנו בנזיר, והיה דינו משונה. So this is, I will call it more of a halachic reason. If the father, if Manoach would say, look, Shimshon, you're going to be a Nazir, Shimshon could undo the Nazirut. But because it was done by an angel, you can't do that. So this is another explanation. This is more from a halachic perspective, why the angel had to what? To say, he's basically Nazir because of me, because I said so. And there, Shimshon could not undo the vow and the Nazirut. By the way, even in Halacha, we have what we call Nazirut Shimshon, which is forever, ever, and there is no way that you can do a Shelah. Stam Nazirut, the Gemara says, 30 Yom. If someone says, I'm Nazir, it's for 30 days. Then there is Nazirut Leshana for a year, and then there is Nazirut Shimshon, which is a different breed of a Nazirut that you cannot really undo this Nazirut. Okay.
Maybe you touched on this.
So what? So we spoke about it last week. Yeah, to create this conflict between him and the Plishtim. To create dafka tension between them. Okay. So, מכל אשר יצא מגפן היין לא תאכל, ויין ושחר אל תשת, וכל טומאה לא תאכל, כל אשר ציוויתיה תשמור. So, the Malach says, I already talked to your wife, you can talk to her if you want. I told her not to drink wine and not to eat anything that is impure. And everything I commanded her, she needs to what? To keep. Again, he doesn't tell him anything about Shimshon. It's only about things that he told her and he just repeated. And now take a look at Manoach. He's one of my favorite figures. He's so...
Stupid.
Look, he made it to the Tanakh. We didn't. So I do have some kind of, some kind of respect to him. But he's a funny figure.
He's not a great example of a man.
Yeah, we'll call it. He's not the sharpest tool in the toolbox. Sharpest pen in the whatever they call it. Okay. In the pencil in the case.
Rabbi, in his defense, he gets to be the father of a Nazir, so he can't be completely useless and.
No, maybe because he's so useless, he didn't intervene.
No, come on.
No, I'm saying, I think, in a way, by the way, Manoach and Shimshon had nothing to do with each other. Yeah, there is no record. Now, the Tanakh is not going to record any, bedtime stories that, a parent will tell his child or whatever. But there is really nothing. I would assume, I think I know, but I think Manoach even tried to disassociate himself from Shimshon to some extent. There is going to be a time, at the beginning, Shimshon even asked for some kind of an approval from his parents to marry those Plishtiyot. Later on, he didn't even ask them. So there is some kind of a disconnect. I don't know what was his relationship with his mom, but with his father, you don't see too much of an influence.
So no defense of him.
Why not? Kaf zchut. It's always good.
Only because he made it his name.
He made it to the Tanakh. I agree. He made it to the Tanakh. Yes, Zelda.
I think we see spirituality and
It's not uncommon.
So it might be, Zelda. I will say an additional thing. It also might be that he was lazy. He sat in home watching TV while she's walking in the field.
do we say that being sitting in
Maybe he was learning.
working in the field?
It might be. I'm saying it might be. Very good. So Zelda will bring a proof from whom? From Yitzchak. Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh, right? But I can tell you from Yaakov, when he went to the field, he went to walk. So I can have both. Okay, and we will see in the Mefarshim how they portray Manoach.
So I just want to say, so he has nothing.
He does not have too many role models. That's for sure. Yeah. And also,
Relationship
Yeah.
with his parents.
we'll give him a discount on the couch, right? Okay. ויאמר מנוח אל מלאך השם, נעצרה נא אותך ונעשה לפניך גדיזים. Now take a look at this guy. He's talking to the angel and says to him, you know what? Let me make for you a meal.
Oh boy, he didn't realize he's talking to
The guy does not get it. Okay? The angel is not interested in a meal. Okay? Yeah, but Avraham did not know that they are angels. Okay? This guy says to him, I'm an angel of God, I'm telling you what to do, and he says to him, you are an angel, nice to meet you, let's have dinner together, right? ויאמר מלאך השם אל מנוח אם תעצרני לא אוכל בלחמך. Even if you can stop me, I'm not going to eat with you. ואם תעשה עולה, להשם תעלנה. If you want to make a sacrifice, bring an olah offering, an elevation offering, give it to Hashem. כי לא ידע מנוח כי מלאך השם הוא. He does not understand still that he talks to an angel. The woman says he looks like an angel. This guy talks to an angel and does not get it. ויאמר מנוח אל מלאך השם, מי שמך? Give me your name, כי יבוא דברך וכיבדנוך. Because when you come again, we will honor you. ויאמר לו מלאך השם, למה זה תשאל לשמי? והוא פלא לי. Why are you going to ask my name? It's a wonder, which by the way, this is a game here. If you look at the Torah, the opening statement for Nazir is what? Ish ki yafli lindor neder. Yafli. The word yafli, pele, wonder. And he says to him, my name is what? He says to him, don't ask my name, but my name is Pil'i. I would like to claim, and also some other Mefarshim, basically we know that the angel does not have a name, but he has a name for his mission. That's right. This mission for this angel was what? To do this pele of a Nazir. So that's why maybe he says Pil'i. Okay. ויקח מנוח את גדי העזים ואת המנחה, ויעל על הצור להשם, ומפליא. You see the word מפליא? ומפליא לעשות, ומנוח ואשתו רואים. So, מנוח takes the גדי עזים, and the mincha offering, and the angel is doing all sorts of things with this animal, with this sacrifice. ומנוח ואשתו רואים. And Manoach and his wife, they're watching him. ויהי בעלות עליו מעל המזבח השמיימה, ויעל מלאך השם בלהב המזבח ומנוח ואשתו רואים ויפלו על פניהם ארצה. So the angel is doing his magic, okay, and he's being consumed with the fire. Now take a look. ויהי בעלות עליו מעל המזבח, okay, ויפלו פניהם ארצה, so they fall on their faces, ולא יאסף עוד מלאך השם להיראו אל מנוח ולאשתו, אז ידע מנוח כי מלאך השם הוא. So Manoach, I guess, goes every day to the field to try to what? Find this guy. He does not get it, but only after like 3 weeks, and I'm sorry Manoach, I know I'm recording, I'm sorry Manoach for insulting you, באמת מבקש מחילה. He's a ממש עם הארץ. Yeah.
He looks for him every day.
He looks for him every day. Okay? So basically, he does not really realize that what? And this is the problem with the Namaretz. Even if there is a Malach Elokim that reveals himself to him, he cannot comprehend it. He does not really fully understand it. Yes?
I just have one ultimate question in the SAMSON.
Oh, you're asking why to bring, and I can relate it to Zed.
Unspiritual, sort of like a doubt, always doubt about God's promise, don't even believe the angel. Why out of all the Israeli men, God choose this people?
Okay, so A, he didn't choose him. He chose his wife. Yeah. The only thing that wife had a husband, no malasot. Yeah, you had to deal with him. So that's A. And the B is what Zelda says. Almost every family in Tanakh, if you want to make it as a family to the Tanakh, you need to be dysfunctional. Really? Look at almost every family in the stories. It's dysfunctional, and there is a reason for that. The Maharal talks a lot about it, and especially about David HaMelech and Mashiach, that came from obviously a very unflattering background and lineage. And there is a reason for that, not for today, not for now. So let's continue, because there is something here that I need to show you. Kaf Bet, verse 22. ויאמר מנוח אל אשתו, מות נמות כי אלוקים ראינו. We are going to die because we saw God. Come on. The angel told your wife that she's going to have a child. She's not going to have a child if she's dead. She might die after she gives birth. That's true. But not now. So look how an Am Haaretz he is. And he's basically saying to her, look, we saw something that is above our pay grade. We're going to die. And she says to him, ותאמר לו אשתו, לו חפץ השם להמיתנו, if Hashem would like to kill us, לא לקח מידינו עולה ומנחה, ולא הראנו את קולנו, וכעת לא השמיענו כזאת. My dear husband, it's not going to happen. We are going to be okay. Because if God wanted to kill us, He will not tell us all this prophecy about the child and what should we do with it. Okay. ותלד האישה בן, ותקרא את שמו שמשון, ויגדל הנער ויברכהו השם. Who is missing from that pasuk? Manoach. She is calling him a name. She is giving him birth, that's for sure. But she is the one to call him by name, not him. Which is also an interesting thing, because then we need to compare it to all the other times. Look at Yaakov's wives, who gives the name to whom? Look at Yehuda and Tamar, who gives the name to whom? Rivka Yitzchak, about Esav and Yaakov. Very interesting who gives the name and why, but not now. Basically, she says, Vatikra et shmo Shimshon. Now, no one told her to call him Shimshon. Now, when you look at the word Shimshon, it's come from the word Shemesh, the sun, which is a very strong, powerful star. So that itself is a very interesting thing, why to call him Shimshon. And also it's interesting that the angel did not tell her how to name him. Right? This is an interesting thing. The angel says to Hagar how to name her son. The angel says to Avraham and Sarah how to name their son. But basically that's it. But whenever there is like an angel involved, he's also trying to tell you which Shlomo also, Nachon, which Shlomo. So the idea is that there is no direction, but she calls him Shimshon. We will deal with that later on. So, the Malbim, if I'm not mistaken, is the Malbim. The Malbim says, so the Abarbanel says, ותלד האישה בן ותקרא את שמו שמשון, ולא זכר למה קראו אותו השם. There is no explanation why his name is Shimshon. וידמה שרמזה שישמש את האלוקים כל ימי חייו בנזירותו. Shimshon from the word shamash, a servant, someone who serves God. וגם רמז שיש שממה גדולה לפלישתים, ולכן לא פרסם סיבת השם ההוא. Again, the Abarbanel is saying what? She didn't want to call him, she didn't want to give the reason for the name, because Shimshon is also from the word shmama. Shmama is desolation, which means he will create desolation to the Plishtim. And she was afraid that if she will say why, the Plishtim will hear about it and they will kill the child. Again, you can understand that the Plishtim had such control over the Jews, of the Jewish community, or whatever it is, the Hebrew community, that I guess every son or every child that was born, they will try to figure out, is he a threat to us? Which is very interesting. Says the Al-Sheikh, ותלד האישה בן ותקרא את שמו שמשון, הנה השמש יש לו נרתק כמו שאמרו ז"ל, ובתוך הנרתק הוא מאיר. ובצאתו מנרתקו תלהט רשעים ומרפא לצדיקים, I will translate in a minute, כמו שאמרו ז"ל, על פסוק, הנה היום בא להשם בוער קטנו, וזרחה לכם יראי שמי, שמש צדקה ומרפא. כך היה שמשון, שבהיותו בנרתקו ובטן אמו שם היה אור, קריה נזיר מן הבטן, ובצאתו תלהט פלישתים וירפא את ישראל הנקראים צדיקים. על כן קראתו שמשון לגזירת שמש, כי הוא יחל להושיע את ישראל, ולא קראתו שמש, כי עם שמשון, להיות קטן כעניין אישון שהוא מגזירת איש, אלא שלהיותו קטון נקרא אישון כעניין הימינון. Okay, I'm explaining. And first translating by explaining. She called him Shimshon from the word sun, shemesh. Now, the shemesh is always there, right? Very hot and very, it's a luminary. At night, there is almost like a nartik. It's like a cover on the sun. And then when the sun is in the cover, you don't really see it. But when the cover is gone, so you see the sun. So he said, she called him Shimshon, because when he was in her womb, you couldn't see the light, just in potential. But when it came out, so he was what? He was strong as the sun, and he would, like, quote-unquote, put fire or use fire against the Plishtim. That was one of the things that he did, by the way, with the foxes. You remember that one that he tied their tails and he sent fire. Okay. And why didn't she call him Shemesh? Why Shimshon? Because he was a little Shemesh. Every time you put the Vav Nun at the end, is little. Like, for example, Ish, Ishon. What is Ishon? Pupil. It's in your eye. It's a little ish. Okay? When you want, for example, katan, small, ktanton.
Small.
Tiny. Okay? So many times when you add the vav nun, at the end you make it smaller. Okay? Yom Kippur is called Shabbat, Shabbaton, which means like mini Shabbat. Yom Kippur is almost like Shabbat, but there is a Shabbaton that it's not exactly like Shabbat because of the skila versus karet, okay?
Sorry, Shabbat Shabbatonim. In other words, it's the Shabbat of Shabbat. Yom Kippur.
So Yom Kippur is, even though it's very holy, it's still not as holy as Shabbat. Yeah. This is always, Yom Kippur is the holiest holiday, but Shabbat is the holy of the holy. Okay? And why? Very simple. Shabbat was given to us by God without our intervention. All the other Chagim are based on our decisions. Okay. So then, we have 3 more minutes that I need to go to Mincha. ותחל רוח השם לפעמו במחנה דן בין צורה ובין אשתאול. Again, ותחל. What is ותחל? It began. He has the Spirit of God on him. Rashi says, what is לפעמו? You see the word לפעמו? So what is לפעמו? Rashi says, לבוא בקרבו לפעמים. It comes and goes. The Spirit of God is on him, but only what? Occasionally. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Which means it depends on the mood, it depends on the day. There is no consistency with Shimshon. Sometimes you will see that he does things that are so pious and so righteous, and sometimes you will see that he does things that have nothing to do with Judaism. Says Radak, ותחל רוח השם לפעמו, תרגם יונתן ושריעת ורגב מן קדם השם לתקפות, כלומר הגבורה והכוח שאלו במחנה דן החלו, והוא המקום שחנו שם בני דן כשהלכו ללכוד את ליש, הוא המקום בין צורה ובין אשתאול, ושם החל לו הכוח מאת השם, אולי היה לו שם דבר עם אויבים ונצחם, והכתוב לא סיפר. ויהיה פירוש לפעמו לחזקו. So the first thing that he says what? What does it mean לפעמו? To give him like פעימה, like to give him strength. And he says, maybe there is a story of gvura, of strength, that was done between TORAH and Eshtaol. By the way, you know where it is in Israel? Next to Gezer, Shalabim, Gezer, that's the area. Okay, Shalabim and Gezer. Yeah, so that's where it is. So he started with the Plishtim, or maybe, but we don't know the story. So that's one interpretation. But I want you to look at the second interpretation. He says, הפירוש הנכון בעיניי ובדברי חז"ל, כי פירוש לפעמו מעניין פעמון, שהייתה רוח נבואה מקשקשת לפניו כזוג. This is an incredible פירוש. Basically says לפעמו, it's from a bell. Now, a bell has the bell, and it has inside the what? The zag. The inbal or the zag? Inbal. The inbal, okay? So when you move it, it's the dinging thing, right? Okay, the dinging thing. Basically, it says that the nevuah, that God's prophecy, basically was like dinging, I don't know if that's the word, dinging in front of him. This is a very interesting thing. Basically, in a way, the nevuah basically tried to what? Quote unquote, run in front of Shimshon to try to guide him. This is an interesting thing, because if that's true, you would assume that everything he does because of what? Of this ruach nevuah. Now, Shimshon, based at least on the beginning, he's not only a judge, but he's also what? Has some kind of an divine inspiration, almost like a prophetic vision. So that also adds to the idea, if he is so good and he's so righteous, how come he is what? Going out with...
because he had a Yetzirah.
So we need to deal with all those issues. And... you need to see the Ralbag, and with that we end. ותחל רוח השם לפעמו, says Ralbag, רצה לומר, שכבר החל הרוח הגבורה שהייתה בו מאת השם יתברך לפעמו, so the strength already got into him, וזה שפעם היה חושב להילחם מפלישתים, ופעם חושב להימנע מזה כפעמון זה שמכה אילך ואילך. This Ralbag is a description of almost a split personality. He is going back and forth. One time he says, okay, I'm going to take revenge with the Plishtim, and once, oh, they are my best friends. Remember that Ralbag. A, it will explain a lot, and B, it will add to the complexity of his personality. On one hand, he's inclined to take revenge and to do what God wants from him. On the other hand, the only friends that he had in his life are the Plishtim. So that's how he's being torn between these two camps. That's for today. Next week more.